hopefully it'll go better tomorrow.
Right. You're renowned for not quite liking the night stages. We've got one coming up now. You still think, how do you rate your chances of being in the lead tomorrow morning?
Preferably not.
A lot of guys are already talking tactics again, not wanting to be first in the road for tomorrow. So the 2 stages now, maybe some lateness in that going to come into play again?
You know, when things are this tight, I'd be surprised if it's going to have a role to play at all, because with 5 guys there, all within 30 seconds, why would you want to give away 10 seconds to any of your rivals? And I don't know who's going to start doing it. I'd be surprised if it happens, but I think it's set up for a hell of a nice day tomorrow. It's also going to be, the tarmac stages tonight is going to be interesting, because the four-wheel drives have certainly been the class act today, but I don't know what they might drop a few seconds tonight, and there's, you know, tight Mickey Mouse through the pit side things, and the A8s and A7 cars might just be a bit quicker. But I think we've got the makings of a hell of a rally tomorrow.
The Killarney stage attracted a huge number of paying fans to watch the action. It took the format of a super special stage with 2 cars pitted against each other in a head-to-head format, all of it on tar. We went in car with Berger, who was up against Rueda. The route wound its way around the track and through the pit area and access roads, giving crews a mix of high speed and slow point and squirt type driving. This type of stage does not suit the large, heavy and somewhat cumbersome four-wheel drive cars, but in recent events the drivers of these cars have got to grips with them in these tight stages and quite often set surprisingly fast times. Won this duel over Berger by 4 seconds. After the second running of the stage in the dark, the Spaniard would lead the event overall by 5 seconds from Gemmel. Berger was a further 6 seconds back in third, having lost 11 seconds to Rueda over the 2 stages. Next up were Lourens and Habich. Lourens traditionally does well in this type of stage, his smooth driving style ensuring that he maintains momentum in the tight bits. We drive with him through the pits on his way to the second fastest stage time. Meanwhile, Habich was on the rev limiter as he flashed past the camera. Both drivers were pushing to the limit, with Lourens even using the grass. And Habich leaned on the tyres as he overdid it a little bit. It cost him minimal time, but he finished 2 seconds slower than Lourens. Damso's circuit racing experience also helps him in these stages. He comprehensively beat Kuhn in this stage, but Kuhn had the satisfaction of turning the tables on him in the second running of the test, although they were given identical stage times in the timesheets. Damso also took the overall stage win, clipping Lourens into second place by just 1 second. JP Damso also enjoys these stages and has a good track record in them. In the second running, he showed everyone the way home, clipping his father, Kuhn and Lourens by a second. After 66 kilometers of competitive stages, 45 cars out of the original 53 starters would start day 2. After 4 stages on day 1, Group N4 cars dominated the head of the standings for the first time. It was also the first time in many years that 3 privateers headed the log. Habich and Lourens were in an uncharacteristic 6th and 7th overnight, with Damso Jr. a strong 8th. Kukamu was the surprise in 9th, ahead of Ryan.
Rally, We had 4 stages yesterday, 6 to go today. And so those 4 stages, just a minute covering the first 8 cars, perhaps a little closer than we expected.
I think what we hoped for really is. I think the net scorer overnight was probably Fernando Rueda. He's leading by 5 seconds. But everything very, very tight behind him. And after the first stage, he seems to be holding on to the lead. And I think we set up for a hell of a dice this morning. And everybody's there. I just hope they all stay there.
And obviously we have to watch the battle between Serge and Etienne. That's the championship battle.
Etienne's lagging a bit. He's like, I think, 25 odd seconds behind Serge. So he's got it all to do this morning. And I think from Serge's point of view, he just has to finish ahead of him to make the next rally a bit safer. But, Etienne, very quick last night on the tarmac. Very exciting, beat Habig twice in a row on the same stage. So I think he's going to have a full go as well.
The first stage of day 2 would see another unique happening. Damso, Kuhn, Habig and Rueda all set identical fastest stage times over the 16.3-kilometer test. Berger was 9 seconds slower, allowing Damso to move into 3rd. Class N3 leader Vulcan put his track experience to good use to set some impressive times at Killarney. He was once again fully committed on the dirt. Richard Bem and Grant Sinclair were almost a minute ahead of the Class N2 opposition at the end of the first day in their Palbin Toyota Corolla. They had blitzed the long first stage of the rally, setting them up perfectly to control their lead from the front. Trott and Snyman were comfortably leading Class A6. They had already wrapped up the class title for the year and could push as hard as they wanted, knowing they had nothing to lose.
We've seen this year that Etienne A7 cars taken the fight to the Class A8 cars. Now the Rally Commission's put forward a proposal to limit their performance. What's your opinion on that?
The whole rule situation, I think, is quite ludicrous at this point in time. Because we've had a situation over the years where the manufacturers involved have sort of made the rules. Now they've been weeded down to 2, Volkswagen and Toyota, representing 3 cars, and they're still calling the shots, which is quite ridiculous. The Rally Commission doesn't seem to have any teeth. They're just rubber stamping whatever the 2 manufacturers decide. And really the whole essence of the rally is around privateers. And certainly if you look at the top order at the moment, 3 privateer cars in the top 3 or top 4, and yet they're being told what to do. And now if we look at the new proposals where they want to limit the N7s, that could only really come from William Haddad from Toyota. And in his case, he probably doesn't want the old car to beat the new car.
According to what I understand from people that I've spoken to, the whole idea is to bring the whole Class A7 class closer to each other. But protecting 3 A8 cars in front doesn't make any sense to me.
I think that is exactly what you just said is exactly what it's all about, trying to protect the 3 A8 cars in front. And I agree with you, it's absolute nonsense.
I think rather than restricting Class A7, they should build better Class A8 cars.
Well, being the competitor's representative, I obviously must look after the interest of the competitors, and it's not only the manufacturer teams that are involved in A7. I think we need to find a sort of a middle way where we keep the manufacturers happy as well as the privateers. I mean, this rule changes is definitely to the negative in terms of the privateers. I think the biggest problem is that the A8 class should have moved forward and not making rules to pull the A7s back. I think that's the main drive behind the lot.
But ideally, from where we are, and certainly from a public spectacle point of view, I think it's preferable to have the A7s up there, and at least you can have a few more cars that come in the rally, and now we're trying to stop that.
Yeah, well, I think the idea is to go faster. I mean, not to make rules to let the Oaks go slower. And with the tyre restrictions and all those sort of things that they want to impose for next year, I just think it's to the detriment of the privateers. So my feeling at this point in time is we need to go and sit down with the Commission again and see if we can't speak to them and maybe get some leeway in terms of a sensible rule for A7.
I think rallying is at an all-time high as far as public interest is concerned. But we need to have the formula to go with it, to have more cars at the top, more drivers fighting for the overall lead instead of classes lower down and trying to eliminate people that actually challenge the works cars. And the Rally Commission should be looking at that instead of trying to rubber stamp what two manufacturers representing three cars really want. I think it's an absolute lot of nonsense, and maybe they've overstayed their welcome, our Rally Commission. Maybe their system should change.
Having led overnight, Rueda and Aries were first on the road on day 2. Going into stage 6, they held an 11-second lead over Gemmell, with Damso a further 3 seconds in arrears. With Berger and Kuhn another 6 and 9 seconds back respectively, it was extremely close at the head of the field, with any one of the 5 capable of taking victory. Rueda had driven well all year and continues to improve with each event. There's no doubt that his forays into Africa have helped lift his driving and confidence to new highs. The experience he has gained means he's becoming an ever more serious threat to the established frontrunners with each event. Gemmell has also enjoyed rallying in Africa and is the current champion. He's also an established winner on the local scene, having won 2 events outright. He was now well poised to challenge for his first local win since 2001. He would be quickest of the 4-wheel drive cars with the 3rd fastest stage time. We drive with Berger as he tackled stage 6. Berger is another driver to have competed in Africa. In fact, he was the first South African to take the title in 2001 before he switched back to the local championship. Having built a brand new Subaru for this season, the veteran had put in some superb performances and given the works cars a run for their money. He was 3rd in the overall championship and leading Class N4 going into this event. With Rueda his closest class challenger, it was a no-holds-barred battle between the two for championship honours, as it had been for most of the season. He was not hanging about in this stage, but Rueda would clip him by a single second. Always fiercely competitive, Damso was not about to settle for anything less than a win, no matter where Lawrence was. Just watch how totally committed he was down the hill and through the splash.